how they planned this out and the participation that disc golf is receiving throughout the communities. I spoke to a couple of municipalities that do have disc golf, and one in particular said that their course is used heavily by a lot of different people, and it's not something that's not being used. And they're amazed by how many people get out and just walk and get the exercise. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Shaw for now.
All right, thank you. Good evening. So first, I wanted to show a map of the park. As Kathy mentioned, or Ms. Willits, approximately 60% of the park is not being utilized. That's just a guess, but like you can see our baseball fields here and then the town pool down here, but you have all this wooded area that is not being utilized. And so we've been trying to come up with ideas for what we can do that doesn't disturb the land too much, but also is a great opportunity for the public to go out and be healthy and active. For those of you who do not know, disc golf is a sport in which players throw a frisbee at a basket. It is played similar to golf. Essentially, one player stands on a tee pad, and you keep throwing the frisbee until you get it into the basket. And so you might throw it once, then go pick up the frisbee, throw it again, keep following it towards the basket. The sport is relatively simple with the setup. You have the basket and then the tee pad, which I have a picture coming up of, and then you have the frisbees, which players provide on their own. The proposed project that we would like to do is an 18-hole disc golf course. It would have 36 rubber matted tee pads and 18 baskets. Each hole would have 2 tee pads, what they call an amateur pad, which is usually closer to the basket, and then a pro pad, which is a little bit further away and usually more difficult to throw from. 1 basket, and there would also be a sign for each of the holes as well. Players would park in one of the rare gravel parking lots in the back of Community Park. This is the back of the park, and that's the rare baseball field. So they would park either here or at this gravel parking lot here, start at hole 1, and then they would work counterclockwise. It kind of goes down and then around. A small hiking trail would connect each hole, and this picture kind of shows what we were thinking or visualizing. You can see it's not that big. Well, it's not that big of a clearing, and it would just be a path to the baskets. This is the rubber tee pads that we would like to do. Those are removable, so it's not a permanent fixture. So if we decided we did not like the course or wanted to modify it, we can easily move those tee pads. And then this is an example of the signage that would be at each hole. So people would be able to see that if you throw from this pad, the basket's over here, and maybe some of the trees and stuff that are on the course. And Fred Rock Disc Golf designed the course for us. They design and maintain the Woodsboro course, and they also assist with maintenance of other courses in the county as needed. And they are available to answer questions after my presentation. So if the board approves the design tonight, the next steps would be the baskets, tees, and pads and signage would be ordered. Then the brush would be cleared and the dead trees from the course to allow for a clear throwing path. Then the baskets and tees would be installed, the signage would be installed, and then we would have a ribbon cutting ceremony. I received a lot of questions prior to the presentation tonight about the vegetation that's on the course. I know we have a lot of concerned citizens, and myself as a green team member, we want to make sure that we're protecting the native plant species and not tearing out a bunch of trees. This is a picture of hole number 12, which is in the back of the course, but it pretty much displays what most of the holes look like that are in the wooded areas. You can see there's a lot of brush, there's pricker bushes over here, which I was standing next to when I took this picture, is stinging nettle, and there's also poison ivy on a lot of the trees and just a lot of shrubs. We would like to clear a better walking path between the trees by cutting back pricker bushes and invasive plant species. This would be done by hand or with a small tractor, such as a brush hog or bobcat. And Fred Rock Disc Golf would like to, or they recommended that once we clear out the areas, we would sprinkle grass seed along the paths throughout the year to minimize erosion and to help healthy grass grow. We would also like to plant some additional trees in various areas across the course to help create a challenge for players. And another thing to note is Eric Boger is the main person I've been working with for the course design. He works for Rupert Landscaping as a field manager, and he also has over 10 years of experience owning his own tree company. And he's been the one who has been going through the course with me or telling me recommendations on what plant species to remove, because he has over 10 years of experience and identifying what trees are healthy or not. We do not want to remove any trees except for dead or diseased trees. This was in the back of the course. As you may know, the emerald ash borer has been killing a lot of the ash trees, and this grove of ash trees is completely dead. You can see from this that it's rotting. These are the only trees that we would want to take out of the course. And this is back near hole number 12. The project would be 100% grant funded through a community parks and playground grant. There is no match requirement from the town. If needed, the board did approve a $5,000 Fund 2 transfer in February 2019, which we put in the budget as a cushion in case we needed to remove trees or whatnot, and we did find trees that did need to be removed. And these expenses just show about how much we'd be spending on baskets, sleeves, tee pads, etc. The benefits of disc golf, as Kathy mentioned, it's a low-impact sport that is playable by people of any age. Players walk through the course. It doesn't require running or any intense physical activity. Disc golf is fairly inexpensive. Frisbees can be purchased at a local athletics store for approximately $15 for a set. You don't need to buy hundreds of dollars in athletic equipment. Disc golf can be played any time of year, in summer, spring, winter, or fall. Disc golf courses are designed in sync with natural layout of the land and with minimal ground disturbance. For the basket, the most ground disturbance we would have are the baskets, and we would be digging about a foot wide hole and about a foot or two deep. But that's the only disturbance we would have, and those are removable too, and we could easily fill those in if there was any issues. There is no need for clear cutting trees, leveling the ground, etc. And there's a lot of courses throughout the United States that have courses on the beach, in the woods, along rivers and fields and mountains, etc. There is a low maintenance cost. It would just require minor weed eating and mowing. And in addition to the above benefits, there is already a community of people that love disc golf in Frederick County. There is a course in Middletown, there's a course in Walkersville, and a course in Woodsboro. And whenever I drive by those courses, I see a lot of people playing on them. And we did, and I know Middletown mentioned that their manager, that they see a lot of people on their course as well. Any questions?
Questions for Marty? Commissioner O'Donnell?
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Great presentation. Very convincing. Very well prepared. What's the length of the trail? Like, what's the from hole 1 to hole 15, 16, 17, 18?
This is a half mile.
18. Sorry, regular golf course. My apologies. Hello. Okay, golf. Yeah. What's the length of the trail? Do we know that?
No.
No.
We don't have the exact distance of it. Speculating and looking at your community walking trail is a quarter mile. And then the length of your community park, mile.
Okay.
And actually, they might be able to answer it.
I'm estimating probably 2 miles.
Okay.
Mr. Sweeney, is that okay? I'm sorry. I overstepped my bounds. Are you
No,
okay
that's
if he
fine.
comes forward?
We
Okay.
still have a good story. Hi, my name's Tracy Jones. I live about 13 minutes from here in Thurmont, and I'm a member of the Professional Disc Golf Association, number 73707. I spent the last 4 years building Woodsboro With some other volunteers, I spent probably over 2,000 hours volunteering. But I'm guessing that probably 2 miles is your average course length.
Great. Wow, thank you. Oh, interesting. Okay.
It's usually the mayor.
Yeah. I would compliment the mayor to nothing here.
Mine's been acting up all night.
So, Ms. Shaw, coming back to it, so about 2 miles. The use of, this is beastly. Okay. The use of the trail. Are people going to be able to run on it, bicycle on it, jog on it, walk on it, dog walk on it, in addition to disc users, or is it strictly for disc use? And the question I'm leading up to is, this is one that I face with like the mountain biking and hiking trails up on the mountain, was a well-made trail always polices itself, and there's a lot of truth to that. I found that to be, you know, a good made course in this example would police itself. But, wow.
Try to plug in the back.
I'll go ahead and answer that while we're doing it.
Sure.
It's not our intention to limit access to the trail at all.
Okay.
It won't be a paved trail, it won't be a gravel trail.
So natural surface trail.
But it's gonna be exactly, it'll be a natural surface trail. You don't have to get out and play to access the trail. But there's not our intention to limit it, as long as, if you say bicycling, not running over the pads or things like that nature, but no, our intention is not to limit it.
Great, okay. The Fred Rock group, what's their membership, do you know offhand?
Yep.
Can you please come up?
I just-
Currently, we have 100 paying members. We have over 500 members of our Facebook page. And it's played all over the state.
Oh, sure, no, I'm very familiar with it.
Okay.
To a degree, I mean, that's with some boundaries. Mr. Sweeney, is it okay if I ask questions of Mr. Tracy? Is that all right by you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. So with your group, how many trail days do you have for maintenance at other courses? Like, how many per year?
How many times do we go maintain it?
Correct.
It's ongoing. It's always, we're always maintaining it. We have work days.
Right, so how many work days do you guys organize?
We try to have one per month,
Okay,
but typically it's in the wintertime when it's easier to
sure.
maintain and clear, but we're out there constantly. I'm personally out there
Sure.
often.
What's your attendance numbers like at those trail days, at those maintenance days?
Probably 5 to 10 people.
Great, okay, that's terrific. And will professional staff be managing this, or is there a volunteer in the community who would be managing this, similar to the model for the trails? Like, will we be dedicating staff time to the full-time management of this part-time?
No.
As part of their duties?
No, the only thing that staff would be doing some minimal weeding and clearing if necessary outside of what his volunteer group does. But as far as staff managing it, no.
So would the most accountable person be a volunteer? Is that fair to say?
Well, if there's a volunteer that would like to take it over, that would be greatly appreciated.
Sure, okay.
And that's part of what, the premise behind the dog park and a lot of things that we do is to bring the community together. And a lot of the disc golf, they get together. They get groups of people to go out and play and help establish the sense of community also. And that is our community's playing in it. If you're playing and you see something that needs to be done, we're hoping that you're going to just jump in and, maybe move this out of the way or
Exactly.
report to us that something needs to be
Pick
done.
up trash.
Sure, and the other
Correct.
questions I have, and I don't even, believe it or not, I actually support this, but I'm kind of anticipating the hoops and hurdles that I went through. So that's kind of what I'm trying, I'm not trying to trap or corner anybody, I'm sorry if it might feel that way. Is there a NEPA or any environmental review that takes place regarding where the trail goes? Like
No,
hydrophilic soil
I
or-
discussed it with Zach on any floodplain concerns or anything. There's minimal disturbance. There's no environmental impact that we would need to obtain permits or report for.
Okay, great. Thank
I
you.
do have a question. These can be used for hiking purposes too.
Yes.
You don't have to play.
They just have
all
to
the
be
time.
aware
Be able to use,
of people playing.
and how about drainage? Will there be some drainage pipes that need to go in or anything for these spots?
We won't be putting in
Yeah, we won't
drainage
put
pipes
any-
in, no.
Okay, I didn't know, I mean, some spots we have are waterlogged in the back there.
For like grade reversals or anything like that, where you're trying to pull water off?
No.
Okay.
The whole idea is the minimal impact. And so, just like other areas, if there isn't a lot of rain, you may come across a hole that you may not be able to play, but no, the idea is to provide this with just as minimal impact as possible.
Question for you.
Sure.
Have you walked this course after a day like today, the rain or anything like that?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not.
My concern is if you're looking at hole number 3, I spent a lot of time back in that park running, biking with the kids and stuff. Hole number 3 is straight marsh next to the path there. So, I mean, at that point, a day like today, that almost becomes impassable. I mean, you
Yeah,
have
I'm
people waiting through that. You look at hole number 17 and 18, which are to the right of the path, and I'm pretty sure, do you guys play over water or?
Sometimes we do play over water.
Okay, so they're concerned about people losing their frisbees and things of that nature because
People do
there's,
lose their diffs in ponds and
okay,
stuff
'cause
like that.
there's the 2 ponds right there. One
Ponds.
tends to be dry, but has
Right.
filled quite often, especially last year and this year. 18 is the pond right there as well. And I just know from being in town, a lot of that's kind of marshed out area, so I don't know what the impact would be. Is if you do clear some of those trees and things of that nature, and with the standing water, I don't know if anybody's seen the impact that happened up in Connecticut with the EEE virus and the mosquitoes to the point where they were moving college football games around. Is that something that's going to be of a concern with, some of the vegetation removal and now the potential for standing water back there with, the big storms that we've had here recently?
I'm not sure about that. I'd have to refer to the town for
So-
that, people with more experience.
Right, so if we are removing some of these trees, we do a lot of tree plantings throughout the year. It would be an area such as Arbor Day, where we would plant trees to help with the control of the erosion and the flooding.
Would that be an added expense then to the 14?
Well, our tree plantings, typically we receive donations for our trees that we plant, so there wasn't, for years past, for Arbor Day, all our trees were donated, or we received grant funding for them. And I know there's programs through the Lions Club as well, that they donate trees also. So the $5,000 cushion probably will come into play for any trees that would have to be removed. The diseased emerald ash, they have to be removed, regardless of whether we do the disc golf or not. DNR does give grant funding for ash tree treatments as well, just to let you know.
Any other questions?
I know there's people that wanted to speak though.
Okay, I'll get us done first and then I'll have them come up.
Tell you what, I'll wait.
You wait,
Oh, I can wait for now.
Mr. Davis, you okay?
We're good?
Alrighty, let me see who we got here. Alrighty, we'll bring some, public comment people up. Amy Bowman?
Yeah,
Said
it's
it right the
Bowman. I was
third
about to
time.
say you got it right the first time. Hi, my name's Amy Bowman Pollitt. I live at 328 Mountaineers Way, so this is literally right in my backyard. I expressed concern at the last meeting about the disc golf holes close to the residential homes and potential for the disc going into the yards. And I did talk to Kathy, and I don't know if I talked to Madeline, and asked at least for hole number 6 to try to be angled away from the residential, because if it's a straight line, it's going to, if you have an inexperienced player like me or my son, it's going to not go on that straight line. So there still could be potential for it landing in our yard. So it looked like from the modified plan, it looked like it was angled.
Yeah, so what they did, it's hard to tell from this map. It appears that they moved the actual tee pad up, so it's kind of in line with your house, and then they angled it out. Initially, you saw a straight line, and after we had discussions, Maddie sent it on to them, and they adjusted it and angled it away from the house more towards, say, hole or pad 18. So they did make that adjustment.
Thank you. It was so hard to tell on that other map because it was so little.
Small.
So
Yeah.
thank you. likewise, I just wanted to encourage the commissioners, if you haven't, like Commissioner Burns was saying, if you haven't walked back there, to take a look, because like I was concerned about hole 3, it could be washed out. Also, I am an advocate of keeping any mature trees that are not overtaken by an invasive species, and not clearing those in favor of a metal basket, basically. I know that the proposal was to put some more trees in during Arbor Day, but I've seen some of the Arbor Day trees since die around town. So I know how long it takes to actually get a tree to root and actually grow to be big and beautiful and mature. So it sounds like there was a lot of very thoughtful consideration on where it goes. I would just offer for you to also take a look, walk that path. For example, looking at hole 3, I was unable to see how that hole was going to go in without clearing of mature trees, ones that were not with the orange dots already slated to be removed. Also, since the park is much bigger than I anticipated after looking at that map, I was wondering if we could take a look at and reconsider the red holes, number 7 through 15, the ones that are going to be in that extended brush area, since it does require a lot of clearing of brush and trees. I live right there, and I actually have the pleasure of seeing a lot of wildlife come out of that area. I see deer, turkeys, fox, and so on, raccoons. There was, and all sorts of wonderful things that walk right out of there. I would like to see that it's minimal impact to them. And if this does go forward, I'm just hoping that we might be open to maybe spreading some of those holes out and maybe not putting 7 through 15 all right there, but is there a way we can kind of sprinkle it throughout, like starting back by the dog park and coming up and around, since the park is so big, rather than putting it all back in that area where I know it can get really wet in a non-drought year. It actually, you can form pools of like almost like little mini ponds back there when we don't have droughts. We get great blue herons and all sorts of great things back there. So I have a couple neighbors that feel the same but hate public speaking, and I've been nominated to come here for my street. So I apologize that I don't have more numbers with me. I also have a few on the street who have young children, and it's a school night and they have kids to get to bed. But I want you to just be cognizant as you consider the plan for, tree conservation, drainage, and habitat, and seeing if there's any potential areas for some of those holes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll try to address some of them. There will be no clearing of mature trees. That was something that we were very clear on, as we stressed the minimal impact. The only trees that are going to be removed are the 6 diseased ash trees. The intent is to clear invasive species. The park is much larger. It looks like it's very condensed because you have a small picture here. It's not as condensed as it appears. The problem with, and this was a question that I actually posed, of why can't we push it further up? The problem being is you have people that walk, you have people that are in the dog park, you have people that are playing tennis, basketball. You have a lot of people walking in the upper section of the park, making it difficult and hazardous if you're going to be throwing frisbees in the section of park that is heavily traveled, or at least heavily participated in at this time. That's why the lower section of the park was, for one, selected. 2, because it is remote, it is nature. Maddie's a member of the green team, the mayor's a member of the green team. I'm not, but I'm very passionate about it. So my dad is a tree farmer, so I'm all about nature and green, and so the minimum impact is very important to us, and I know in Maddie's dealings and the talks that I've had with some other managers that have dealt with Fred Rock, they have a great reputation of not coming in and destroying the land. And as Maddie had mentioned, if if you're not happy with a hole or there's somebody that's not happy with a hole, these things are easily moved and adjusted. The park lays wet in areas. It's just the nature of where the park is located. Do then we not use the park because on certain days it does lay wet? Or do we try to maximize the space that we have? And that's what we attempted to do, is to try to maximize what the town owns right now.
Mr. Sweeney?
Commissioner O'Donnell.
You know, I will say this, this is not virgin forest that we're dealing with, so it's not a hypersensitive area. It is green space. We do have to balance that issue. The singular concern I have, I think this is all a very sound idea. I am in support of it in general. The one concern I have, and this is with the design, is reviewing the land in different, I won't say seasons, it doesn't have to be year-round, but in different conditions. Some of this is hydrophilic soil. It's really squishy and loamy, and I don't think it's a necessity to preserve it. I don't think we're disrupting the biosphere to that degree. I agree with Ms. Willits that if it's used, it will sustain itself. If it fails, nature finds a way to take it over. As you guys probably know from your trail days, I say this for mountain biking and the trails on the mountain for our hikers. The mountain wants the trails back and will do everything in its power to take them back. So that's why we have so many trail days. 5,000 hours, thank you. Okay, so, no kidding. All right, so moving from there. But what I am concerned is the actual lie of the land in these weather conditions. I know it's not too disruptive, and I would assume that people exercise good faith behaviors in general. So I would imagine if someone were, had a crew meeting out there on a day like today, they'd wave it off and go to the yacht house.
Along those lines,
Commissioner Brown.
when I pose this to, I guess, everyone, do we run the risk of we're opening a huge section for people to hike and hide and disappear back in the woods for anything extracurricular or anything of that nature?
There's a risk of that, absolutely, always. And the issue is, if it's well-made, people will use it, and they police it. And the best police force is people using it and this wonderful cell phone thing. So I don't want a minority of bad actors to hold us hostage when we have a majority who are interested in something like this. It would be something I think would be a benefit to our town, and especially respecting, the wishes of the neighbors, so the Frisbees are going away from the homes, not toward the homes, certainly. It looks like they did that with 6. If you look at this one, you might see it. But more to the point, the wet. Right now, if Fred Rock could review the land in this condition as it is, it might be worth it, but I would, no pun intended, wear your waders, or at least your duck boots, because it's pretty damp out there. I've been out there, I've looked at it prior to this for other conditions. It's a good idea, though.
They have been back there on multiple occasions. I certainly, if they would like to walk back there again, I know Ms. Shaw's been back there with them at least twice. And to your point, when we were building the dog park, we did discover areas where people had been camping and chairs and things, and we cleared out with the dog park in. So maybe with putting this back there, maybe it'll discourage them from not. I don't know. They're always going to find a place. I think, if they go back there and take a look at it again, we encourage, volunteers to help with this also, and to walk the trail and take a look at it. That there are parts of it that will lay wet, but there's parts of it that are not as wet as everybody thinks they are. Fortunately, we have a lot of rain this year. We're in a drier set right now. But I think this right now, with putting this in Community Park, this is the best location for it.
Well, I imagine on the other parks you have wetlands too. I mean, wet places and non-wet places, especially Woodsboro. Woodsboro is always underwater. If you ever go down there when it rains really heavy, their whole park is underwater most of the time. Especially including the mountain parks with the hike, when we do the mountain bikes, I imagine there's wet spots up there.
There can be,
Dry
absolutely.
spots. But I'm glad that you're utilizing the park. We do have a lot of park land, and this will give something for another activity. We don't have baseball anymore. The children are looking and adults are looking for other activities to do. This is a healthy activity. It's something I can do, especially since I'm not really active athletically.
I have
But I could do this.
I have a few questions, Mr. President. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but when you're finished, I have a few questions. And
But I do know there's wet. I've been back through there. We've been having, in the last 20 years I've been here, the park has grown a lot. The walking path that we have back there, there was nothing in the park except for the baseball fields, the two baseball fields that were back there. But now we have all the other stuff that's there. This isn't costing us any money. They got it for grant money. I think it'll be a nice piece of utilizing the park, the 60% that we don't use. Myself, that's my opinion. Mr. Ritz?
speaking of grant money, I'm trying to refresh my memory. When it came to the dog park, we as a board collectively voted on that, but the disc golf course, due to the nature of the grant, we really have no, other than accepting the design proposal, whether it's a yay or nay on the disc golf course, we're getting the disc golf course one way or the other, correct?
Not if you don't approve the design.
If the money, I'll say this, this was the same model that we used for the multi-user trail, for the hiking and mountain biking trails, where a third party came forward with the grant in hand. This is also similar to what I think it is the Kiwanis organization did with the ADA playground. So we have the authority to accept or not accept.
I'm just throwing it out there tonight that if we do accept this, or if the disc golf course is installed, I'm assuming to use the course would be free, correct?
Correct.
If that happens, I seriously would like policy P1801 to go away for residents. I don't think it's fair for our residents to have to pay to use a baseball field when they have this disc golf course. They could use that for free. So we might want to reconsider the baseball field, because residents now, in order to play a pickup game of baseball, have to pay a fee to do that. We voted as a board to do so. Granted, there's a refundable fee, but if it's in good condition. So I would encourage the board that that's something I would like to consider in the spirit of recreation, free recreation for all.
But are volunteers maintaining the baseball fields and the athletic fields?
If that's an argument, I don't like that argument, Commissioner O'Donnell, because I mean, it's almost in a sense our baseball fields were taken from us to pay to play.
I think there was.
I have a real problem with it.
I understand what you're saying, but I think the reality is because baseball faded, participation faded, we had to find means to make the ends meet.
Well, let's make it free to get the encouragement back up again so they can play, and maybe it'll come back to us.
I'm not against baseball. I mean, I'm one of the people pulling for it, and quietly encouraging it. But there's much more expense in the field maintenance piece, and it is refunded, isn't it? Isn't the fee refunded on the damage? And I think there was
50%.
There was cause to
Fee
it.
for the baseball
50%.
fields are refundable unless you are a non-resident or a non-residential team. I don't have the policy in front of me. But non-residential teams or leagues do pay a per field, depending whether it's league or single game, and some of it's refundable, some of it's not. I believe the residential is fully refundable.
No, 50%.
I'll have to look at it.
I have it
Is
right
it
here.
50%?
Okay.
Okay.
It's 100% if you're a nonprofit organization.
Correct.
Now, is this for league play or is it for pickup? Is it actually pickup, like
Pickup.
18 kids can't get out there and knock it out?
They do. They do get out there and play. But if the fields have been reserved and somebody comes out, if a league or a team comes out to play, then whoever's on the field has to leave. And the reason that, they do this is because of the liability of the use of the field. It's up to the board whether or not they want to repeal the policy. I think they're two different, you're talking about two different things.
They are.
Baseball field. The maintenance is much higher, the maintenance of the dugouts. The ball field mix is expensive. But that's a decision for the board to make.
I'm just saying that that might be something to consider. We're proposing this disc golf course. It's going to make some people happy. It will make people unhappy as well. And I think that if we make the ball fields a free form of recreation for our residents, it'll make a lot of people happy.
I hope so. It was free, so hopefully we can encourage, that's nothing more, stopping something more for baseball to come back. I know the board and the mayor do, so obviously I think whatever suggestions that you guys have, bring it back would be great.
Alrighty, can we get back on the disc golf? And, because the Little League is not on the agenda tonight. Please, because it's going to be a long night. Any other questions on the disc golf? Fedrock, is that what it is, Fedrock?
I'm concerned about the trees. I mean, we love trees. We don't want to clear any healthy trees. So that vision right there of clearing a huge path like that, that is not, in my opinion, our vision. We want to leave all the healthy trees as obstacles. Also, we will be saving hundreds of trees by removing the ivy that's smothering them along the fairways. So not only will it be like that, that's very nice, but you're going to see brush cleared from under the trees on the sides of the fairways in case somebody hits a tree and goes to the right or left, so they can find their disc easily. And I encourage you to check out a video I posted on YouTube. It's called Woodsboro Disc Golf Course in the summertime, and it's the most recent, and you're going to be amazed at what a fairway can look like after it's been cleared of the brush. The trees remain, but it just, with no brush, it opens it up so nicely. It was beautiful to walk through. We've been written up in the Woodsboro paper twice. They said, hiking trail, disc golf course, you choose. We've gotten some great comments from their community.
Okay.
But we're concerned, any concern the community has, we're just as concerned with their concerns. So we'll definitely, and the course can always be adjusted.
I just had a question regarding the
Commissioner
volunteerism and the trail days. Like Commissioner O'Donnell, you present us dates for trail maintenance days.
Yes.
The workshops, I forget the correct terminology.
Volunteer
there.
days.
So would the dates for trail maintenance then be brought to the board? How do we know, when they're going to be doing it? And
I think they do it as a as-needed kind of basis. It's not as, and I don't know, I can't speak for him, if it's as designated as Commissioner O'Donnell's trail work days. Obviously, Commissioner O'Donnell has much larger mileage to deal with. He needs more volunteers. I don't know how they do theirs. I don't know if they do, if they want to email us and say, hey, we're coming to town, we're going to work on the trails these days, we'll certainly put it out. I don't know that there's an obligation to tell us that they're going to be back there just maybe clearing some invasive species or doing whatever.
it might be, I don't know which one it is, but it might be,
This one.
because yours is well advertised.
Sure.
By the way, there's
Well, let me ask you this. Is this something you want to see happen? If you do, ask, and I can only imagine they would accommodate you.
yeah, when it all comes to fruition, I think that would be something nice. I'm all for communication. I mean, and then maybe this thing will be so popular, people will want to go, like, oh, can't do it today.
Yeah, people drop out the last minute as well. So getting people out there can sometimes be a little bit difficult, but you've got some regular people that are, like myself, out there quite a bit. Always, I mean, I got a nickname for as long as I've been out on the course in Woodsboro. They call me the GOAT, but because I'm always removing poison ivy and stickers and anything that would upset a player. They don't like to go get their discs in hitchhikers or stickers or poison ivy. Try to move all that stuff as best we can along the trail.
Okay.
Okay.
And are you ready for one more?
One more what?
Trail, one more course.
Well, the course in Woodsboro is done, and when you look at that video, I'm telling you, you will be amazed because it was straight up thicket that you could not walk through.
Sure, I know it well.
Okay. Oh, you do?
But you're
Okay.
ready for one more. No, I mean, I know the process well. I don't know that course. per se.
Well, that was all done by hand. That's why it took 4 years.
Sure.
So with the ability to have a hedgehog or something like that, that we should meet the April ribbon cutting date. But the other one was 4 years, and it just gradually opened up over the 4 years
Sure.
as we kept working.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, did I get everybody up here who wants to speak? Tracy Jones?
That was me.
That's you. Who's the other one? Jared? Here? You good? Wayne?
I'm Wayne Nordberg. I also represent the Fred Rock Disc Golf Club. There were concerns on like hole 3 by like the weather today where it would be submerged in water. If it's to that point where the hole is just unplayable, it will be redesigned and put into an area that is acceptable by the town for redesigning that hole. But yeah, if it's a hole that we put in there and 6 months out of the year you're looking at a foot of water or half a foot of water, then yes, it's not playable, and we will move it. And that is also something that would be at no cost to the town. We would have volunteers to move that hole to wherever it needed to be repositioned at. So, and as far as any kind of maintenance costs on the course, once the course is put in, as long as people are walking on it, it maintains itself. It's all just natural. There would be no town mowing other than where the baseball fields are. Other than that, yeah, everything is just basically just maintains itself. So there is no upkeep or any kind of money or actually even any kind of, just any kind of real maintenance to be done on it. It kind of takes care of itself once people start walking around and doing it. So I just wanted to kind of point that out. And we are concerned. I was back there 6 months ago walking through there, and yes, it is a swamp. There are some certain areas that you just can't walk in it, and we have definitely addressed that, and we are looking at that. So it's something that we do know and we are well aware of. So that's it.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Mr. Davis?
Yeah, I have two quick questions.
Okay.
Number one, I see your shirt, so it says the Woodsboro Open. So you have tournaments on these courses?
Yes, we do. We try to have a tournament like once a year at each particular course in Frederick, and it's basically just a volunteer. It's
How many people would that bring to town?
it would bring approximately 80 people. You have 18 holes, and you have 4 people per hole, so you would have approximately 84 people per tournament.
That's just playing. That's not including family members who come and watch.
Right, that's just people playing. Yeah, that's not family members. That's not people coming to watch. That's not people coming and take pictures. That's just.
So that could be another day that has a little bit of an impact for our businesses, so that's a good thing.
And it's usually just a one-day event. There are
Right.
places that have 2-day events, but most of ours are just a one-day event.
And the second question, for the people in Southgate, if we do see a hole that you didn't anticipate being a problem and creating a nuisance to them, we would be able to move
We'd
those
be
holes.
more than happy to move it. We would relocate it. We would do whatever it takes to make the community happy. We are all about making friends and having the community involved in everything we do.
Jared?
Are there any points that this will be crossing the path? Because there are a lot of pedestrians and people walking dogs and
Could you come to the podium?
riding bikes
Come
and
up,
things
come
like
up
that.
here.
Awesome.
Give your name and your address.
Thank you.
Jack Pilot from 328 Mountaineers Way. Just want to know if there was any points where the discs would be crossing the path and maybe interfering with pedestrians or people walking dogs, kids, anything like that.
Okay. The way the course is designed right now, there is no crossage of the path of the walking path. I don't know what path is that called?
The black, walking path, the blacktop path we have going through the park.
Right. But what do you call it? What is it? Just called a walkway?
Just the community park path.
A community park path. Yes, we don't have any holes that should be shooting over top of the path or down the path, because again, people who have no clue what our sport is are walking around, and we don't want anybody to get hit by a disc. And I mean, that's the worst thing. I mean, that's the worst thing, is for somebody to get injured and for us to lose this great thing. So yes, as of now, yes, we don't have any of them crossing over the walking path as of right now.
Except for hole 1. Right now, that's the only one that's crossing over. That's the one that comes.
That's the
and
connector.
Yes. I'm sorry, my
No,
bad.
that's
Yes, and that area is actually the only reason that is because you're able to see that entire area, both directions of anybody who would be walking anywhere near the path. That's the only reason that one hole.
just to follow up with that real quick, you say, are the holes easily movable if there was a situation that does arise?
Yes.
So if you find a situation where it's swamped out and things of that nature, you couldn't easily move something
Relocate it, yes, and it can be done within a couple hours. Okay.
Thank you.
Dangerous town.
Any other questions?
Mr. Sweeney, a quick thing, and I will end everything on this.
Mr. O'Donnell?
Let's say in a perfect world, we get this built, it's done, it's wonderful, we're excited about it. How hard would it be to get a tournament at, say, Community Day? Just a thought. I'll leave that open-ended. Thank you, sir.
Would be nice to do a tournament then.
It'd be a lot of people. It would be
Oh,
it'd be a lot of people.
We can handle it.
We're all about people.
Alrighty.
I'm sure we're open to that. We are.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, I need a motion to accept the design of the disc park as presented, and it can be changed or moved according to whether the holes are playable or not.
I make a motion to accept the disc golf course as designed, with the understanding it can be modified based on board action.
Any, motion's been made by Commissioner O'Donnell. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Is there any other discussion on the motion before we vote? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays?
Nay, I'm still concerned about the swampiness.
Motion carries 4-1.
Even if we're moving.
Excuse me, could you recognize Mr. Wilson, Roger Wilson?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Matson.
Okay,
I don't have a speaker, so you'll have to speak.
okay. On behalf of the mayor and board, we'd like to
Is yours
welcome.
on? I don't even hear you.
I think I'm on.
You're on.
Okay. I'd like to recognize Roger Wilson, who's with the county executive's office. If he has a quick minute, I know, is this your son?
No.
Okay.
No, he's an intern.
Okay, great.
He's following me around. Yeah.
Are you as,
That's right. Yeah, he
are you
learned.
good, are you as good an athlete as he says he is?
Yeah, he learned a lot about disc golf tonight, for sure. Good evening, everyone. For the record, Roger Wilson, Director of Government Affairs for Frederick County Government. I'm here on behalf of the county executive tonight, and good evening, President Sweeney and Mayor Briggs and all the commissioners here, and to the town of Emmitsburg and town staff. It's good to be here. I was up here most of the weekend, this past weekend. I wanted to say congratulations to the new commissioners coming in, Commissioner Davis and Burns. Welcome. Being a public servant is not always easy, but you will enjoy it. I'm sure. And know that local government is the closest to the people. And so you will see your constituents in the grocery store, post office, on the street, and they will want to make sure that you're responding and listening to their concerns. So welcome to the team. Also, would like to thank the service of Commissioner Buckman and also Blanchard. You know, we will miss them, and I'm sure they're not going too far, and they will be even more involved in the community. So looking forward to seeing what they do next. I often come up here, this is to Commissioner Davis and Commissioner Burns, I often come up. I would like for you to use me as a resource if you have concerns about local government or anything dealing with Frederick County government. The county executive is here to support you in anything that you need. If you have any issues, please contact our office. All right. So that's all I have tonight, and if you have anything, just let me know. Okay? Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Wilson? Thank you for coming up. I know we kept you here a long time.
No. I'm glad I was here. I learned a lot about disc golf, and I'm sure my intern did too. So thanks.
Thank you.
Clifford, could we take
Wilson.
5 minutes?
Mr. Mayor, yes.
We have
We'll
just
take-
a,
We'll take a 5-minute break. We've been here a good couple hours already. 5-minute bathroom break, please.
I make a motion to take a break, take a recess.
Was the break just for you? No. Oh, because I deny it.
Second motion been made by Commissioner O'Donnell, seconded by who?
That's right. Yeah, it's charter and then.
Burns. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Take a 5-minute break.